Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
Brayden O'Hanlon, good morning to you, young man.
Good morning to you all. Thanks so much for having me here.
It's very, very good. Fine work. It's taken a long time to get out there, but are you pretty happy with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, obviously, there's always things in my mind that I want to change, and there's always something, a little tweaks here and there, but it's hit the stage where I've just got to pull the pin and throw it out there and really, work hard on what's to come.
You were talking about having about 10 songs to release. Are they all due on a, what do you call it these days?
Album.
An album? It's still called an album, is it? That's pretty cool. Have you got an album due soon, Brayden?
So the album is due to come out the third week of January. Yeah.
Beautiful.
You see, straight off the bat, you can tell we've got an inexperienced performer here. Surely you'd get it out this week, so it's available for all good stores for Christmas.
No, we got to have the build-up, build up suspense and everything like that. But no, so it again, just fine tweaks and all that sort of stuff, and making sure that I'm at a happy place with it all, and everything's how I guess I want it. And then, so the third week of January, that'll all be popping out in all streaming services from Apple Music to Spotify to everything else that's required.
Last time we spoke, there was a bit of a hiatus in your work. You weren't getting a lot of gigs. Things have changed. You've clearly been working a lot more of late, so the timing of the release of this has been pretty much perfect. What's the reception you're getting from the massive crowds you're playing in front of?
Yeah, I am speechless about it. Pretty much, I'm mind blown. The crowds have been phenomenal. We started off very light. Obviously, people still required to be seated in venues, so we're playing, and it was very, very relaxed vibes and very, I guess, chilled sessions. And then now we're all guns blazing, people jumping up and down, dancing, and we're keeping all the dance and stuff sort of going, and really trying to create that energy and give it to people. So, we've been locked up for so long. Let's release a bit of energy. Why not?
Brayden, you've been really good at promoting other young musicians and supporting them along the way. Are you at the stage now where, as good as this little one-man band in the corner of a small venue fits, is there a potential for a band brewing?
Yeah, so I do have a team. I do have a band team that comes in for, I guess, anything that requires a band. So many people don't, it's definitely lost its magic, or I shouldn't say it's magic, sorry. It's definitely still got the magic. It's lost its need. People no longer need a band or want a band, which I find a little disappointing, but I do have a fabulous team who come in whenever we can and provide people with the full experience and the full band experience.
I guess there's... G'day, Brayden. It's Neil, by the way. The other half of this establishment. We've interviewed Mike Rudd. Now, there's a name that probably predates you by several years. He was, and still is, in fact, the brains and talent behind Spectrum, a band that had a song called I'll Be Gone. And back in the olden days of, late 60s, early 70s, he formed a band called the Indelible Mertzeps, which was a cut-down version of Spectrum, simply because it was getting too hard logistically to have a band, and therefore it became a small, a lot of the equipment didn't need to be happening. Is there an element of that as well, so that, if you're performing by yourself, you don't need a big space, you can be in the corner of a cafe, whereas if you've got 4 or 5 blokes or ladies standing behind you, it gets tricky. Is that part of it? That was a long question,
absolutely.
Wasn't it?
Like, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, because if you're looking for work, there's things you must accommodate for where you're going. So you do, my favourite thing in the world is to be standing with a band and have, my mates and my work colleagues around me and absolutely giving it all. But like you said, if you're in a cafe or if you're in a restaurant, or even just a smaller type venue for a wedding, you are required to strip back. And as part of a work requirement, you've just got to learn how to do it, and that's, it is also something that I teach, and it's something that I run people through, which is all available. You know, you can see all my work on my social medias and stuff, but it's a big requirement these days because, again, you are required to strip things back. And in terms of myself, I can now play, you know, give me a metre squared and I'll sit in the corner and I have the kick drum at my foot, so I'm able to keep the beat going and keep that all pushing through. There's, you know, with technology, brand new systems allowing you to have a full sound without lugging around these big boxes of cargo and big boxes of gear.
Yeah, well, I've got a mate who does a bit of work at wineries and stuff in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, and the key piece of equipment he takes with him, apart from obviously the mics and the PA and stuff, is his iPad. And he effectively plays karaoke tracks and sings to them. And you would think it's a full-sounding band. I guess that technology has helped people like yourself who, you know, for logistical reasons, can't get a whole band into a 1 square metre spot.
Yeah, and even bigger bands are now using this technology to their advantage. So instead of having to hire, I guess, well, I'll take a band like Toto, for example, with songs like Africa and Rosanna. These are huge, like, anthem-type songs. Now, they can have up to 50% of this song recorded to a timer, recorded to a track, and that will play at the same time they play, which gives them the orchestral feel. Yep. And, you know, those sort of instruments that you don't want to be taking on the road. You don't want to be having to hire, you know, 4 violins and cellos and your whole brass section just for a couple of songs. We can now have that over your iPad, and the technology is amazing. Like, it's just blowing my mind, and I'm still, you know, I'm very young, so but I'm still learning.
Because I think the other thing becomes quality control. I saw Paul McCartney live at Amy Park in 2017, and he produced the Scotch College Pipe Band to play, Mull of Kintyre, obviously, and everywhere he went, he took the local Presbyterian private school's pipe band, Scotch College in Melbourne and the equivalent in, I think, King's up in Sydney, and use them. There's got to be a quality control that if you're going from town to town and picking up musicians, I think Chuck Berry was renowned for doing that. It was Little Richard, one of those. You could pick up someone who, he's pretty good on the guitar and gets up on stage and hopeless.
Well, that's the risk you do take. I have been involved in a couple of auditions and things like that where you won't actually meet the artist until, I guess, a week out from show or even days out from show. You know, I've auditioned, I've gone through the process and learnt all the songs and played the songs with the band, and then you get thrown in the deep end going, okay, this is who you're playing for, this is who you're doing it with, let's hope you're any good. And that really, like, it sounds so terrible, but it's the risk that people take in that area where instead of, you know, having someone paid for in terms of accommodation and travel and all sorts of crazy stuff in the industry, they've gone, you know what, we're coming to Australia, we're going to find some Australian artists who are incredible and have them a part of the team and obviously save themselves a huge amount of coin in the process.
We use the same technology here. Rob's not actually here today. We just got him to feed a couple of questions in, and no, that's not true.
No, it's not true. I'm here.
Yeah, the old pre-recorded Rob. You know?
He's much better looking in the pre-recorded sense too, I can tell you for nothing.
Bit of sounding, I heard.
Brayden, let's talk about songwriting. Some artists over the world have been criticised somewhat, maybe for grabbing the same tune and putting different words to it for numerous different methods of creating income.
Do you know who the next band is, do you?
No, I don't. But the danger you have of writing songs, how difficult is it to get an old tune out of your head and create a whole new one for the next project? To me, I just think there's got to be an end to the number of times you can put notes in a different order on a song sheet.
Well, we're lucky enough where the world has acknowledged that you can't copyright, I guess, what's called a chord structure. So for anyone listening who's not familiar with music, it's just, you know, four letters that you've put in a row, say A, C, D, and E. They're the notes we play on the guitar. There's 1,000,001 songs that have that in their structure, but we're lucky enough that the world has acknowledged that, we can't put a copyright on the structure, but then back towards songwriting, it is very, very tricky to I guess, steer away from your inspirations and the people that you look up to and try and create something of, I guess, your own and something that's purely individual.
I guess also when you are churning out lots and lots of songs, and we go back to that bloke I mentioned earlier, McCartney, who pushed out a few decent songs in his time, not making it sound like the last one you wrote, not just that not that you're just copying somebody else, as George Harrison did with the Chiffons, He's So Fine with My Sweet Lord. But the story goes that Paul McCartney, when he wrote Yesterday, as in he wrote the song called Yesterday, he went round and saw a friend, sat down at his piano and said, "Have you ever heard this song before?" And the bloke said no, and he said, "Good, I must have written it. I thought I was copying it from somebody." So that must happen.
You'd be surprised. Like, that just, it happens so much where I'll, at early days of writing even this song, the first single that's released, I sat down with friends and have gone, you know what? This sort of sounds like this other song. And I've gone, oh no, oh bugger. I've never heard this song before and I've just copied it. I've taken it one by one. So that's when the editing process comes in and, I chop and change and give it, a bit of Brayden or Hanlon rather than whoever else it sounds like that I've never heard of before that I won't mention at all. And yeah, it's just, you have to dig deep and just find that individuality to put into it, otherwise you are, like you said, you are just copying and you feel like it's yours, but you have taken someone else's work.
I think changing the words from "when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me," I think changing the words from that as the first line helped a bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. Hey, Brayden, the thing we like about you most, or I like about you most, is you've got incredible balance in your life, and as well as doing all this writing songs, playing lots of gigs at night, you still love doing the things that normal young Australians do. That's hit cricket balls and kick footies. That's not planning to change. Are you still managing to find that true balance?
Yeah, absolutely. Like football is a big one, obviously for myself, and cricket I love. Cricket has been a little bit more tricky as it carries on a little bit longer during the day. So cricket's at the stage where I'm more than happy to play as long as people are happy to accept that I might have to leave halfway through the game at some points. And it's just the way my life is at the moment. And if I can play half a game and then bugger off, then I'm more than happy to. Like, that's just how we keep balance and how you keep, I guess, the happiness in your life. And coming back to songwriting again, these experiences are what help you write. So if I'm out playing with my mates and something happens and blah, blah, like, these things give you inspiration and give you ideas. You might not think of it at the time, but it rings in your head. It sticks around.
We've got a couple of artists that we've had a bit to do with over the last 12 or 18 months, a band called No Promises from South Gippsland, and Janine, who's the songwriter in that pairing, she says she'll wake up in the middle of the night and the song's there. Are you the sort of person that sits down and says, right, this afternoon I've got nothing else to do, I might try and write a song? Or are you going to be walking down the supermarket aisle, see a bag of chips and go, there's a song?
Well, I guess it happens in both ways. It's not so much, I never force myself to sit down and write. I think that creates blocks, that creates these mental stoppages where you go, okay, I have to do this now. And that's when you start to copy other people because you are purely, you're not inspired. So I do have lots of ideas that I've woke up in the night or just in the middle of the day, I've put little phone memos down or written down on a piece of paper. And at those times where I do get some free time, I'll sit down and one of those ideas will just, slap me in the face and I'll go as far as I can with that. And hopefully, well, there's songs that have taken me 10 minutes and there's songs that have taken me 2 years. So it's just, I try not to structure it as such. I just let it happen. The ideas are there. I'll come and sit down and look at the ideas. If one of them whacks me, then I go with it.
So clearly, 6 or 12 months ago, you were sitting there. Someone came and said, "Are you right to go out for dinner?" And you went, "Oh, tonight."
Stop it.
Is that how it happened? No, I'm only serious.
No.
I'm only serious.
So,
Look, you'd be surprised at how often something like that would happen. They'd be like, "Hey, play this," and you go, "Oh, that'd be a good name for a song."
Mike Rudd, the aforementioned, he has a song that he plays at gigs called "Play Something We Know."
Yep.
I suspect came from the same thing.
It's something good.
Brayden, thank you so much for your time this morning, and honest best wishes. I think the world knows how much respect and admiration I have for you, and I hope one day you're in a position where I ring you up for an interview and you say, "Sorry, mate, I'm just too busy. I'm on a world tour." That would be good, but at the moment we just...
I'll never be too busy. You know me. You follow where you come from and stick to your roots, and it doesn't matter where you are, you have time for even a phone call, mate.
Yeah, good on you, buddy.
So now when he says, "No, I'm on a world tour," that means you got the you-know-what's with you and he's not wanting to talk to you.
So at the moment it's Beeves Bar and Barking Dog, that sort of place. So you're at the Dog tonight?
Yeah, so at the Barking Dog tonight. Next week and the week after, obviously, we've got the Hop In. We're down in Port Arlington. We'll be singing a little bit with Piano Bar and going along that way. And definitely a couple of gigs out the southwest towards Colac, Cobden, Lorne, and, all these fancy places. I really love it. I really love just travelling a bit and, popping my head up in random places and mixed up with weddings and birthdays and anything that people want. I'm more than happy to affiliate.
Good man. Help along to the Dog tonight. Have a look at this young man and listen to "Oh Tonight" and many other fine self-made productions from Brayden O'Hanlon. Best wishes, mate. Thank you again for your time this morning.
Thanks, guys. Thanks heaps for having me.